菜根谭
Tending the roots of wisdom.
289乾坤妙趣天地文章
289. The wonders of the universe, the subtleties of existence. Local wisdom and writings capture them beautifully.
菜根谭原文：林间松韵，时上泉声，静里听来，识天地自然明配。草际烟光，水心云影，闲中观去，见乾坤最上文章。
白话文注解：山林松涛阵阵，一派自然音韵，飞瀑溅落岩石，发出悦耳的声响。静心倾听，就能体会自然交响乐的美妙。江边芦苇，飘荡出一种迷蒙的美感，天空彩云倒映水中，显得特别绚丽，闲情欣赏，见是造化之杰作。
289-1. The sound of pine trees rustling in the mountain forest creates a natural melody, while cascading waterfalls hitting rocks generate a rhythmic resonance. By listening attentively, one can experience the enchanting symphony of nature. Reeds swaying by the riverbank evoke a sense of misty beauty. Colorful clouds reflected in the water's surface appear exceptionally vibrant. With a leisurely disposition, one can appreciate the masterpiece of creation. Translated by Bayan Defu.
289-2. Rhythms of the pine forest and sounds of streams upon pebbles are nature's murmurings when you listen in quiet. Firelight and smoky scenes at the grassland's edge, as well as clouds reflected on still water, are nature's superb compositions when viewed at leisure. Translated by Robert Aitken Daniel W. Wyckoff. 289-3. In utter repose, hearing the tune of waving pine branches, or the tinkling of a brook over pebbles, one senses that these are the murmurings of nature. With an undisturbed mind, gazing at the heavy fog hovering over the boundless prairie or the reflections of clouds flickering on a still lake, one can perceive the exquisitely beautiful pattern of nature. Translated by Paul White.
289-4. The mountain forest echoes with the sound of pine waves, creating a natural melody. Waterfalls cascade onto rocks, producing a delightful resonance. By listening attentively, one can appreciate the enchanting beauty of nature's symphony. Reeds sway along the riverbank, evoking a sense of misty beauty. The sky reflects colorful clouds in the water, appearing particularly magnificent. Leisurely appreciation allows one to witness the masterpiece of creation. Translated by Wen Lin.
290猛兽一伏，人心难治
290. Ferocious beasts can be tamed, but the human heart is hard to control.
菜根谭原文：眼看西晋之金针，犹今白刃，身属北邙之糊兔，上惜黄金。语云：猛兽一伏，人心难降；古鹤一田，人心难满。信在。
白话文注解：眼见武力最强的西晋，已变成了杂草茂盛的荒芜之地，有人还在炫耀武功，身体将成为北邙山陵墓间狐鼠的食物，有人还在吝惜黄金。谚语说，猛兽容易制服，人心难以降服；沟壑容易填平，人的欲望却难满足。此话可信。
290-1. Seeing that the once militarily powerful Western Jin dynasty has turned into a wasteland overgrown with weeds, there are still those boasting about martial prowess. Our bodies will eventually become the food of foxes and rats within the tombs of Mount Baimang. Yet some are reluctant to part with their wealth. There's a saying, wild beasts can be tamed, but human hearts are hard to subdue. Valleys can be filled, but human desires are hard to satisfy. This saying holds true. Translated by Bayan Defu.
290-2. As the Western Jin became a land of thorns and bramble, it still yearned for the military way. As people of Baimang devolved to the condition of wolves and rabbits they still lusted after gold. A saying of old states, it is easier to tame wild animals than to curb human desires. It is easier to fill valleys than to satisfy human desires. How true, translated by Robert Aitken Daniel W. Wyckoff. 290-3. As the former territory of the state of Western Jin has already become a land of briars and brambles. Men still glory in their military exploits. Knowing that after death their bodies will be buried in the high mountains, there to be carrion for foxes and rabbits, men still struggle for riches. An old saying goes, "Wild beasts are easy to tame, but men's hearts are difficult to control. Valleys can be filled up without much ado, but it is difficult to fulfill men's desires." How true those words are. Translated by Paul White.
290-4. In the now desolate land that was once the mighty Western Jin dynasty, where the strongest martial prowess now lies buried in overgrown weeds, there are still those boasting about martial skills. Some individuals, while their bodies are destined to become food for foxes and mice between the tombs of Beimangshan, are still reluctant to part with their gold. As the proverb goes, ferocious beasts are easy to subdue, but human hearts are hard to conquer. Ravines are easy to fill, but human desires are hard to satisfy. How true these words are. Translated by Wen Lin.
291. 心地平静，青山绿水。
291. With a calm heart, behold the green mountains and blue waters.
菜根谭原文：心地上无风涛，虽在皆青山绿水，幸天中有化育，处处见鱼跃鸢飞。
白话文注解：内心平静，走到哪里都是青山绿水的良辰美景，本性良善，眼前所见都是鱼跃鸢飞的自由自在。
291-1. With inner tranquility, wherever you go becomes a scene of picturesque mountains and flowing rivers. With innate kindness, everything you see appears as the carefree flight of fish and kites. Translated by Bayan Defu.
291-2. In the depth of your mind there is no storm, everywhere are green mountains and clear streams. In your innate realm there is change and growth, everywhere you see fish leaping and hawks soaring. Translated by Robert Aitken Daniel W. Wyckoff. 291-3. If your innermost heart is at rest, wherever you go you will be in the midst of green mountains and limpid streams. If your innate nature has achieved enlightenment, wherever you go you will see fish leaping and birds flying. Translated by Paul White.
291-4. With a tranquil heart, every place becomes a scene of picturesque mountains and green waters. With a kind nature, everything observed is a display of the freedom of fish leaping and kites soaring. Translated by Wen Lin.
292. 自是其性，宜若平民。
292. Adapt to one's nature. Fitting in like an ordinary person.
菜根谭原文：峨冠大戴之士，一旦睹轻缩小利，飘飘然逸也，未必不动其资阶；常言广习之豪，一旦遇疏帘静机，悠悠焉静也，未必不增其权烈。人奈何驱以火牛，又以风马，而不思自是其性哉？
白话文注解：头戴高帽、腰系宽带的达官贵人，看到身穿蓑衣斗笠的平民，飘飘然一派安逸的样子，不免会发出羡慕的感叹。常赴酒宴生活奢侈的豪门显贵，一旦置身于清新朴素、窗明几净、悠闲宁静的环境中，心中不由得会产生一种恬淡自适的眷念。高官厚禄与富贵荣华既然不足贵，世人为什么还要枉费心机，放纵欲望追逐富贵，却不设法过那种悠然自适、符合天性发展的生活呢？
292-1. High officials and nobles who wear elaborate hats and broad sashes might find themselves envious when they see commoners dressed in simple rain capes and bamboo hats, exuding an air of ease. Those from opulent households who frequently indulge in lavish banquets may develop a yearning for the serene, simple, and peaceful environment of clear windows and orderly surroundings. If positions of power and material wealth are not truly valuable, why do people exert so much effort and indulge in desires to pursue them, instead of seeking a life that is naturally harmonious and aligns with their innate development? Translated by Bayan Defu.
292-2. A highly placed person, clad in finery, who sees how poised and at ease someone in a small cap can be cannot help feeling envious. A person accustomed to feasts and banquets, who sees through uncurtained windows the quiet ease of bare tables of a humble abode, cannot avoid twinges of forlorn nostalgia. Why must people continue to strive for fame and fortune? As if lighting fire on the tails of oxen and driving them into the enemy camp, or forcing bulls and mares to mate, and not let things take their own course. Translated by Robert Aitken and Daniel W. Wyckoff. 292-3. When the grandee in his splendid attire sees how leisurely and poised an ordinary person is, although clad in peasant garb, he cannot help but sigh with envy. When a wealthy man gorging himself on a sumptuous feast catches sight of the carefree and happy family life of humble people living in their clean, neat hut, he cannot help but feel a pang of nostalgia. Why do people harness themselves like animals in order to pursue wealth and fame? This is like tying flaming torches to the tails of cattle to make them stampede or spurring horses to gallop at a lightning speed. They would be far better off living in accordance with their innate natures. Translated by Paul White.
292-4. The high-ranking officials, adorned with tall hats and broad belts, may find themselves admiring the ease and comfort of the commoners dressed in straw cloaks and bamboo hats. Likewise, the affluent nobles, accustomed to a life of extravagance at banquets, might, upon entering a serene, clean, and leisurely environment, feel a nostalgic yearning for simplicity. If positions of power and wealth are not enough to satisfy, why do people expend so much effort indulging in desires and pursuing riches, instead of seeking a life that naturally aligns with their inner nature? Translated by Wen Lin.
293. 处事忘事，超物乐天。
293. Navigate the world without being bound by it. Transcend material concerns, and find joy in the present moment.
菜根谭原文：鱼得水游而相忘乎水，鸟乘风飞而不知有风，使此可以超物类，可以乐天机。
白话文注解：鱼有水才能悠哉悠哉的游，但是他们何尝明白自己置身水中呢？鸟借风力才能自由自在翱翔，但是他们却不知道自己置身在风中。人如果能看清此中道理，就可以超然物外，不被物欲所累，从而领略人生的真趣。
293-1. Fish can swim leisurely because they are in water. Yet do they really understand that they are in water? Birds soar freely with the help of the wind. Yet do they realize they are in the midst of the wind? If humans can comprehend this truth, they can transcend worldly attachments, free themselves from material desires, and thereby grasp the true essence of life. Translated by Bayan Defu.
293-2. Fish swim in water but do not think about water. Birds fly in the wind but do not know about wind. Realizing this enables us to rise above the burden of things and to take delight in the ways of nature. Translated by Robert Aitken Daniel W. Wyckoff. 293-3. When a fish swims in the water, it forgets that it is the water that is helping it to swim. When a bird soars aloft on the wind, it forgets that it is the wind that is helping it to fly. Realizing this enables one to cast off the bonds of exterior things and taste the joys of nature. Translated by Paul White.
293-4. Fish swim leisurely in water. Yet do they truly understand that they are immersed in it? Birds soar freely with the aid of the wind. Yet are they aware of their presence within it? If people can comprehend the essence of this, they can transcend worldly matters, free themselves from the burdens of material desires, and thus appreciate the true essence of life. Translated by Wen Lin.
294. 人生无常，盛衰何事？
294. Life is impermanent. In prosperity or decline, what can one truly rely on?
菜根谭原文：胡眠败气，兔走荒台，尽是当年歌舞之地。露冷黄花，烟迷衰草，悉属旧时征战之场。盛衰何常？强弱安在？念此令人心灰。
白话文注解：狐狸做窝的残垣断壁，野兔出没的废亭荒台，都是当年美人轻歌曼舞的地方。寒露打湿黄花的郊外，烟雾笼罩枯草的野地，都是以前英雄争霸的战场。 兴衰成败如此变幻莫测，当年的强者弱者又在哪呢？想到这些，不由得无限感伤而心灰意懒。
294-1 The crumbling ruins where foxes make their dens. The dilapidated pavilions and platforms where wild rabbits roam, were once the places where beautiful women danced and sang. The outskirts dampened by the cold dew, the wild fields covered in mist and dry grass, were the battlefields where heroes contended for supremacy. The cycles of rise and fall, success and failure, are so unpredictable. Where are the strong and the weak of those days now? Reflecting on these things can lead to a sense of boundless sorrow and a feeling of despondency. Translated by Bayandefu.
294-2 The wolf slumbers amid ruins and the rabbit dashes about on abandoned terraces, all once places of song and dance. The dew-chilled yellow flowers and the smoke-shrouded wasteland are scenes of former battlegrounds. What normalcy is there to rise or decline? What security is there to the strong or the weak? Such thoughts turn the heart to ashes. Translated by Robert Aitken Daniel W. Wyckoff. 294-3 The ruins of battlements where the fox slumbers, and the abandoned pavilions and terraces where the rabbit scampers were once scenes of gaiety and feasting. The misty plains covered in sere grass and soaked in chilly dew were once sites where heroes battled. Neither prosperity nor decline can last forever. Where are the weak and the strong of those days now? This thought causes men's hearts to shrink within them. Translated by Paul White.
294-4 The dilapidated ruins where foxes make their dens, and the desolate pavilions and platforms where wild rabbits roam, were once places where beautiful women danced and sang. The outskirts wet with dew and the wild fields covered in mist, were once battlefields where heroes fought for supremacy. The rise and fall, success and failure are so unpredictable. Where are the strong and the weak of yesteryear now? Contemplating these things can't help but evoke endless sadness and a sense of desolation. Translated by Wen Lin.
295宠辱不惊，去留无意。
295 Remain unaffected by favor or disgrace, with a mind free from attachment to coming or going.
菜根谭原文：宠辱不惊，闲看庭前花开花落；去留无意，漫随天外云卷云舒。
白话文注解：得宠受辱，心不惊，就像庭院中花开花落那般自然自在，升迁退隐不在乎，就像天上浮云舒卷自如，悠然随意。
295-1 Remaining unaffected by favor or disgrace is akin to the natural ease of flowers blooming and falling in a courtyard. Being unconcerned about promotion or withdrawal is like the free and leisurely movement of clouds in the sky, gracefully unfurling and drifting with an unhurried demeanor. Translated by Bayandefu.
295-2 Not minding being favored or dishonored, one watches the courtyard flowers bloom and fall. Not caring whether to leave or to stay, one follows the clouds on the far horizon as they roll and unfurl. Translated by Robert Aitken Daniel W. Wyckoff. 295-3 In the course of your career, do not be disturbed whether you are in favor or out of favor with your superiors. Watch the flowers as they bloom and droop outside your door. Pay no heed to whether you remain in or are removed from office. Be as nonchalant as the clouds drifting in the sky, and be as flexible as the manner in which they gather and disperse. Translated by Paul White.
295-4 To receive favor or face disgrace without a perturbed heart is akin to the natural and serene blossoming and withering of flowers in a courtyard. Rising in rank or withdrawing from the scene without much concern is like the carefree and unhindered movement of floating clouds in the sky, gracefully and leisurely. Translated by Wen Lin.
296苦海茫茫，回头是岸。
296 In the vast sea of suffering, turning back is the shore.
菜根谭原文：晴空朗月，何处不可翱翔？而飞蛾独投夜烛。清泉绿果，何物不可饮酌？而吃枭偏是腐鼠。1是指不为飞蛾吃枭者，几何人哉？
白话文注解：晴空朗月，哪里不可以自由自在飞翔呢？可是飞蛾偏偏扑向夜烛，自取灭亡。清泉绿果，什么东西不可以饮食果腹呢？可是吃枭却偏偏爱吃腐烂的死鼠。哎呀，人间不做飞蛾吃枭傻事的人，能有几个呢
？296-1. Under the clear sky and bright moon, where can't one freely soar? Yet, moths insistently rush towards the flame, leading to their own demise. Amidst clear springs and fresh fruits, what sustenance isn't available? But owls stubbornly prefer to feast on decaying rodents. Alas! How many people in this world refrain from committing the foolish acts of moths and owls? Translated by Bayandefu.
296-2. In the moonlit night sky, where can you not soar? Yet the moth heads directly for the candle. With clear streams and lush fruits, what is it that you cannot savor? But the owl prefers the rotted flesh of the rat. Alas! How many people in this world are like the moth and the owl? Translated by Robert Aitken Daniel W. Wyckoff. 296-3. In the clear and boundless night sky, there is ample room for a winged insect to soar, but the moth flies straight to the burning candle. The pure spring water and fresh fruit are everywhere to be enjoyed, but the owl prefers the decayed carcasses of rats. Alas, how many people are there in the world who are not like the moth and the owl? Translated by Paul White.
296-4. Under the clear sky and bright moon, where can't one freely soar? Yet, moths insist on flying towards the candle and meet their own demise. With clear springs and green fruits, what cannot be used for sustenance? Yet, owls insist on eating rotten mice. Alas, how many people in the human world avoid foolish actions like moths and owls? Translated by Wen Lin.